Welcome back, everyone, to part 7 of our Court Chronicles journey, documenting the 73 flights, 46 countries that Cameron Mofid saw in his one-year journey around the globe. Of course, joining us to discuss his trip is Cameron Mofid. And Cameron, you start out this section of your story with something that I think is very relatable to so many of our Cracked Racquets fans. You are doing this trip, of course, while you are a college student. And for so many of us, that time you take traveling to college and getting away from your home, just being in your own environment, it's a really important time in everyone's life, right? You learn so much about yourself. Talk a little bit about your college experience and why perhaps you think this trip that you made fits in so well with what you wanted to accomplish.
Yeah, it was a very weird feeling. I just remember waking up, especially after so long after not being in school, and I'd gone to the tennis academy and for my senior year. So I remember just kind of putting on a backpack and heading to my first English class and having it been, just having the backpack strap around my back and walking to class, this English class, and putting pen to paper for the first in-class assignment was very strange to me. The tennis academy, it was less than 50 kids and it spanned from grade 6 to 12. My senior class represented, I think, 7 different countries out of the 11 of us. So just to be there at UM, which is a relatively big school, was bizarre.
Yeah, I can only imagine what that's like. And of course, you talk about it a little bit at the start of your journey. I believe, the fact that you hadn't had the traditional high school experience. You hadn't had the traditional, I go to public school every day. I'm at class. I'm doing my thing. I'm sure that also helped you adjust to the realities of being on the road full time and prepared you for this journey.
Yeah, it was kind of the reverse in my situation, which I wrote about, which was, most students come to college and for them it's like total freedom. And for me, being around my travels and being set up for that because of my time at the tennis academy, and then going to UM and being, I don't want to say confined to a dorm, but being confined to my dorm room and having a schedule with classes and set exams was super strange. But it was cool at the same time. I had Rudy from Israel, who we met in part 4, and Nico from Sweden, who we just met in part 6. Both came to visit me within that first week. So I still felt like I was maintaining the connections with all of my friends from all over the world. And, just as I was getting settled, Hurricane Dorian was slotted to make its way into Miami, and classes were canceled around Labor Day. I had a friend who lived in Manhattan. I had a friend who was playing the US Open Juniors. So I booked I was in class, in my marketing class. It was like 4 o'clock or something, 4:30. And I booked like a 5:45 PM flight to to New York via Atlanta. I have no idea. I sprinted out of the class. I remember the professor and everyone just staring at me, packed a bag really quick, called an Uber, got to New York around midnight. Feliciano Lopez was playing and Caesar's family was there watching. So I sat in his box for the notorious Medvedev match where he flipped off the crowd in New York. I'm sure you remember that well.
Of course.
Had a fun few days in New York.
Yeah, I mean, only Cameron Mofid, Cameron Mofid's never going to miss a U.S. Open. Like, the no class, no hurricane will get in your way. And for you, of course, again, you had been around the world. You had seen these ITF events. You have seen these 250s. To return to New York to get to see, the grandness of Arthur Ashe Stadium, to get to be at the Billie Jean King Center, just in general. Of course, how did that compare with the added perspective of what you had seen the prior 6, 7, 8 months?
Yeah, I mean, the U.S. Open is the kind of the holy grail of tennis tournaments, and to see, I guess, that grandness compared to the intimate challengers, futures, 250 events was always so exciting. That energy there, and that Feliciano Lopez Medvedev match, I just remember how exciting it was. Even though Feli lost, it was still such a privilege to be able to be there in the box, supporting him, alongside his close family and his coach. So yeah, I loved it there. I stayed there for 3 days, and then I saw a Snapchat story of one of the girls who I'd met like just the first week of college, what's your Snapchat, whatever. She was in the Cayman Islands with some of the other girls that she had met at UM as well, who are now my friends. And I kind of swiped up and I was like, hey, can I come through? And she was like, lol, yeah. And I was like, I'm serious. Like, I will actually come. I will book a flight from New York right now, and I will be in Cayman Islands tonight. And she was like, are you serious? She talked to the girl whose house it was because she was staying with someone who lived in Cayman Islands. And surely enough, I booked a flight via Miami to Cayman. I didn't have my passport, and the layover was too short. So I had to text a friend to get my passport, print my boarding pass. He met me in Miami, exchanged my dirty laundry with clean clothes, and I wound up in Cayman that night.
Yeah, shout out to that friend. No, again, this shows, and I suppose not as much with the college, but the fact that you are able to go to the U.S. Open because you have friends from your prior tennis past. That just speaks to, again, the broadness of the tennis community, the fact that they really are intertwined, that we all do love each other. So you always love to hear a detail like that. But, I feel like for half of our listeners, they'll be like, aren't the Cayman Islands a myth? Like, they're not a real place. They're just a tax shelter. It turns out they are a real place, right? And they're awfully beautiful.
Oh, incredibly beautiful. I was only there, I think, keep in mind, this was like just a 3-day weekend between New York and Cayman. So I was only there for about a day, but we went to Stingray City. I got to play with the Stingrays. Why pull it up? It was so cool just to see how beautiful that country is, how unique the culture is. It's a British territory. So the kind of British culture with the Caribbean island vibes. And I had a great tour guide in Sam, who was quite the world traveler herself, but she hosted me. She goes to UM. She lived on my floor at University of Miami. So it was a great experience there.
Yeah, no, I have to imagine that was a very fun time. From there, your school year gets started. You spend a little bit of time on the Miami campus, but of course, the journey doesn't stop, right? It wouldn't have hit the 73 flights. We wouldn't have hit 46 countries if you just went back to school. The action rocks and rolls. When do you find your next opportunity for a trip, and where are you headed?
Yeah, so I head back to Miami after Cayman and relished in that lifestyle for a little bit. I kind of
I like that, relished in the Miami lifestyle.
Yeah,
That's good.
I promoted nightlife. So we were throwing cocktail parties at the Delano Hotel. I actually started my own kind of makeshift nightclub close to UM. And, I felt awesome. I felt like I was on top of the world. I joined the TEDx Miami team as the curation chair. So I picked out the speakers for the 2020 event, which was unfortunately canceled because of COVID, but was still a lot of fun. And then I had a fall break mid-October, and I went to Guatemala City to visit Joaquin, who I had met a year and a half prior at an ITF tournament in San Juan, Puerto Rico.
So again, the tennis experience, it expands on, and for you, you talk about a 23-hour layover in Panama City. What is it? To me, that's my nightmare. Like, that is right in the vomit zone of like, do I go do something? Do I not go do something? Of course, for Cameron Mofid, you automatically have to go do something, right?
Yeah, no, the action never stops. Guatemala was a lot of fun. We did, chocolate making class, and we went up the volcano, and we took ATVs up. And I had this 23-hour layover in Panama, which I scheduled intentionally. I woke up early in the morning. I went to the Monkey Island, which was actually on the Panama Canal. So I sailed through the Panama Canal. We then went to the locks where the boats rise and fall to make way for ships coming through from the Atlantic to the Pacific Ocean through the Panama Canal. So that was great. Went to the Casco Viejo. I missed English class that day because I was getting texts, "Where are you? You're not in class." I said, "I'm in Panama." And that night I got back, had Halloween at UM, dressed up as the Joker, which was great. We had homecoming at UM, so fireworks went off in the middle of campus. And David, who we met again in Ibiza and in Mallorca, came to visit Miami. He loved it. Told him about all the hype, so he came over, and at that point, it was just around the corner for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, and I think something that is really notable about this portion of your journey, and this is one of the shorter portions, but it's that it's not just you traveling to go visit your friends. It's that there's a little reciprocation now. It's that your friends coming to visit you at Miami, wherever it may be. And I have to imagine that was fun for you to get to shift from visitor to host, right? Or do you feel a little bit more pressure in those instances?
Yeah, you do actually,
Yeah.
because you want to show the person the best time possible. And there were some nights, unfortunately, where it was like, there wasn't too much going on, and I was like, I really wanted to show them
Yeah.
that same hospitality they showed me. But I did my best. We had a lot of fun. Everyone that came to visit, I think, enjoys Miami. Such a great city here. I love being here so much. So I was really excited to be able to show my city, I guess, with everyone who showed me theirs.
Yeah. In the end, you just end up at 11, right? It's like, win, lose, we'll go there. It'll be fine.
Exactly. 11 pregame, space after party.
Yeah. No comment on that. Well, then we can end this portion of the journey here. And of course, Wyatt, our super producer, has shown you some of the images of Cameron's trips to the Cayman Islands, to Panama City. But when you look at that adjustment, your first few months on the college campus and still trying to stay connected to the tennis community, because I think that's a very interesting point for so many. If you're not playing college tennis and, you went to Junior, you went to Miami, I went to the real University of Michigan. Neither of us, though, played college tennis. And so we are still very invested in the sport, clearly. Is this, would you say, the way, for me, it was playing club tennis. For you, is it traveling, staying connected with your friends? How did you manage without playing tennis as frequently to, was it important to you, I should say, despite not playing tennis, to remain ingrained in the tennis community?
Yeah, I mean, I did join the club team. I wasn't involved as I would have liked to be, just because I was so busy with classes and enjoying Miami, I guess. But either way, I think just traveling, being able to keep my connections with people who I'd met, that was definitely the main factor that kept me involved. Maybe it wasn't the on court stuff so much at that point, but rather the relationships I'd cultivated at all of these cool tournaments and just people I'd met on my journey.
So when you reflect on this part, what are the things that come to mind?
Just reminiscing over my first semester freshman year of college, I think was probably the coolest part. And then again, that weekend in New York and Cayman Islands too, I won't forget. That was such a last minute kind of serendipitous adventure.